Securing a grant is a big win, but managing it well is just as important. Every dollar you receive must be tracked, spent as agreed, and reported on time. Strong grant management protects your organization, builds funder trust, and increases your chances of getting future support. In this video, we'll cover the basics of grant compliance and reporting and how to talk with your board about what grant funds can and can't cover. You'll learn how to keep your financial tracking organized, avoid common mistakes, and clearly communicate how grants fit into your broader funding strategy. Why grant management matters. Once you receive a grant, your organization becomes responsible for every dollar. You are expected to follow the terms of the grant agreement, use the funds only for approved expenses, and submit progress or final reports on time. These are not suggestions, they are requirements. Good grant management means knowing where the money is going, having documentation to back it up, and keeping your team and board informed. It also means being prepared for questions from your funder or auditor at any point in the process. If you manage your grant well, you build credibility. That credibility is what allows funders to trust you with larger or repeat awards. The basics of grant compliance. Before you spend a single dollar of grant funding, start by reading the grant agreement carefully. This document, issued by the grantor before funds are dispersed, lays out exactly what expenses are allowed, when reports are due, and what steps to take if your project scope or timeline changes. If anything is unclear, reach out to your funder for clarification before making purchases or signing contracts. Create a simple system for tracking expenses. This can be done using basic spreadsheets or accounting software. Keep receipts, invoices, contracts, and documentation organized in one place. Label everything clearly so it's easy to reconcile at the end of the grant period. Only spend the money on approved costs. For example, if a grant funds wayfinding signage, you cannot shift the money to cover staff salaries or supplies unless the funder agrees in writing. If you're unsure about an expense, check with your funder before proceeding. Stay on top of reporting deadlines. These usually include a narrative update, a financial report, or both. Reports should be accurate, timely, and submitted through the funder's preferred format or portal. Communicating with your board about grant funding. Your board may be excited to hear you received a grant, but they also need to understand what that funding does and does not cover. Not all grant money is flexible. In fact, most of it is restricted to specific activities or costs. Take time to explain the difference between program funds and operating funds. Program funds are used for specific projects like public art installations or business workshops. Operating funds are used for core expenses like payroll, rent, and insurance. Many grants support program work, but do not cover the general operating costs that keep your program running every day. Help your board understand that even large grant awards do not replace the need for fundraising. In fact, strong general support is often what makes it possible to deliver the projects that grants fund. It's helpful to provide a visual breakdown in board meetings that shows which parts of your budget are supported by grants and which parts still require fundraising or earned revenue. Reporting builds relationships and future opportunities. Your reports are not just a requirement, they're also an opportunity to tell your story. When you submit a grant report, go beyond the numbers. Include photos, quotes from community members, or short narratives that show how the funding made an impact. Help the funders see the value of their investment in real terms. Consistent, high-quality reporting also builds a strong track record. Funders keep notes. They remember who meets deadlines, who provides clear and complete updates, and who follows instructions. A well-managed grant this year can strengthen your chances of securing future funding from the same source or from others who ask about your track record. A lack of proper grant management and documentation is one of the most common frustrations for new Main Street managers stepping into Main Street programs, especially when their predecessor left unexpectedly. Incomplete records, missing reports, or untracked spending can create unnecessary stress and potentially put future funding at risk. Staying organized now is one of the best ways to ensure a smooth leadership transition later. And if something goes wrong, whether it's a delay, a change in scope, or a budget issue, be proactive. Contact your funder early, explain the situation clearly, and offer a proposed solution. Funders understand that challenges happen. What matters most is transparency and a demonstrated commitment to making the project work. In closing, managing grant funds is just as important as securing them. Your systems, your communication, and your reporting all contribute to your program's reputation and sustainability. This week, review your current grants and confirm that you have a clear tracking and reporting plan for each one. If your board has questions about how grants are used, take time at your next board meeting to walk through a real example. Help them see how grants support your work and why strong oversight matters.